Hello friends, Christian here with BrickLifeCrisis. This channel is recommended for adult fans of LEGO and teen fans of LEGO. If you are younger than the age of 13, you're welcome to watch, but first, get your parents' permission. Hello friends, welcome to another Wednesday video. This is Christian with BrickLifeCrisis, and today we're taking a look at G.I. Joe Cobra H.I.S. tank. This is from the G.I. Joe Retro Collection, which is exclusive to Walmart, and I was lucky enough to actually find this in my local Walmart store, so I didn't have to pay scalper prices. This set includes the H.I.S. tank and the H.I.S. driver, and yeah, let's take a closer look. So the box art is very nice. One thing you might notice is they've gotten rid of the Real American Hero moniker that used to be underneath the G.I. Joe. They have the classic Hasbro logo down in the corner and a Cobra enemy. And then there's a closer look at that figure. On the top of the box has the Cobra enemy, the G.I. Joe and Hasbro logos, and a photograph of the product on the side. And then on the back we have a photograph of the product and the figure, as well as the file card. The file cards are not as good as the originals in my opinion, because they just don't give nearly enough information. Just the top part is in English, the rest are in foreign languages, and I understand why they do that. They want to market this to various parts of the world, but unfortunately that just leaves everyone lacking a little bit in the information. The file cards used to be rich and full of information on the individual characters, and this just doesn't allow for that, unfortunately. And inside the box we have another box which includes the figure and the parts to build up the tank. So this is the tread section, and this is the body of the tank. This is the gun turret. We have a sticker sheet and manual, blueprints, and the canopy. Let's go ahead and build it. And this is the blueprint instruction set. This side shows you where all of the stickers go, and the other side is assembly instructions. Like the Awe Striker, this is reminiscent of, but not quite the same as, the blueprints that we got in the 80s. The ones we got in the 80s were about twice as big as this, just bigger paper, but it's kind of fun to have the blueprint style anyway. Alright, here it is, the Cobra H.I.S. and the Cobra H.I.S. driver. Very similar, in fact nearly identical to the original from back in, what, 1983, 84, something like that. The H.I.S. driver is featured here, and this is the H.I.S. tank. Let's go ahead and take a look at the driver first, and then we'll get into more detail of 788. Alright, so this is the H.I.S. driver. He's done up fairly nicely. He's got a nice Cobra emblem right there on his, I don't know what you call that, armored vest or whatever. He's got the nice big armored boots. Strangely, his figure stand just says Cobra Trooper rather than his tank driver or anything like that, but the stand is cool. It's got the Cobra insignia there and a couple of foot pegs. The articulation on this guy is the same as the 25th anniversary edition figures, so they're articulated at the shoulder, at the elbow, at the wrist. They can move and rotate. Strangely, he has hands that look like he is holding some sort of a weapon with a trigger finger there, as you can see, but he does not include any kind of a sidearm or anything, which is unfortunate. Crankcase from the Awe Striker did not include a sidearm either, and that's an unfortunate oversight, I think. This vest that he wears appears to be removable, but I'm not sure how you would actually do that. It seems like it's fairly firmly attached, and I don't see a way to get it off. If you know of a way, let me know in the comments below. In addition to the arm articulation, he turns at the waist, actually kind of mid-chest, but he can rotate a bit from side to side. His legs can bend at the hip and at the knee and at the ankle. So he's got some side to side and bendability. He can't quite do the splits, but he does have a pretty good splay there in his legs. Again, his knees bend and his ankles can twist. So you can get him to a few different positions if you want to. And most of the time he's pretty much going to be in a seated position in the H.I.S.S tank. Let's see what that looks like. So this is pretty good overall. The cockpit is a little bit different than the original, and that's because these figures are taller. So basically what they've done is they've had to redesign the inside just a little bit. So this is a little bit further recessed, and there's a little bit of detail been added there to look like some stitching in the cockpit, and that is to allow for the slightly larger bodies to fit inside. You could of course fit an older style figure in here and he'd be a little bit loose, but even with the resculpt, it's still a little bit tough to get him in there and close the canopy. So you have to work with it a little bit to really get him down and in place. There we go. And then you can close it up. The turret is essentially the same. You've got the same kind of sticker there with some instrumentation detail. It rotates a full 360, and then of course the twin cannons can raise and lower. The difference here is in the notches. So if you turn this in just the right way, you can pull the canopy out, and you'll notice that there are 3 notches. The original only had 2. Not a big deal, but it's something to be aware of. There's just empty space in there. It's not intended to be used. So anyway, this guy goes in and line up those ports, and then it locks in place. You got some sticker detail with the Cobra insignia, the H.I.S.S detail, whatever that detail is supposed to be. Looks like a part of a serial number, maybe a big serial number, whatever that's supposed to be. And then we have some headlight detail and this kind of hook thing. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be either. I do remember it from the original though. And then all of that same detail, sticker detail, is repeated on the other side. There is a trailer hitch on the back here. There are a couple of foot pegs on the back, so you could have troops standing on the back. You could use it as a little bit of a troop transport. Just note that these pegs are in line with the new or the 25th anniversary and the retro line figures. They are smaller pegs than the original 80s line, so the 80s figures will not fit on there as well. So the figure can sit up in the gunnery position as well. It rotates, the cannon elevates. It's a little bit jerky because the ratchet is pretty stiff, but it does what it's supposed to. Same with the rotation, it's a little bit stiff, but over time with play, I guess it would loosen up some. The treads on this vehicle don't actually move. Instead, underneath we have some roller wheels to allow the unit to move around, which is just like the original 80s unit. It's totally fine. I just wanted to point that out. Overall though, I think this thing is pretty good. The detailing is nice, the sculpt is good, and it's a really nice representation of that classic 80s toy. So this, I believe, retailed for about $25 in Walmart stores. This is theoretically a Walmart exclusive. You can find it elsewhere, but typically at a third-party markup. But anyway, I picked this up at Walmart for $18.97. I'm not sure why it was on sale. They're kind of tough to find, so I was surprised that it was on sale. But yeah, I picked it up for $18.97, and they're going for $50 or $60 on eBay and other places where scalpers might roam, including Walmart.com, which is kind of ironic. The figures are a little bit taller than the 3 3/4 inch scale that they are supposed to reproduce. These guys are about 4 inches tall. So put next to a vintage 80s figure, they are a bit taller, which isn't the end of the world, but you know, it's just something to be aware of. And that's why they had to modify the seat inside so that he could fit. If you can find this for retail, which is, again, I think about $25 or even a little bit more. It's worth it if you're nostalgic and wanting to relive that. If you have a previous version, or if you have a 25th anniversary version, or vintage version, whatever, there's nothing really new here. So it's unfortunate that they call this the retro line, because it's really not retro in that the figures are 25th anniversary figures. The vehicle itself is pretty close to retro, but the figure's not. So it's a little bit of a misnomer. It does have the classic artwork on the box, but that's the only thing retro about it, really. Otherwise, it's an updated version of the previous offerings. So that about wraps it up for this Wednesday edition. The Wednesday editions, as I mentioned before, are where we might occasionally take a look at something that is not a brick-based toy. In this case, it's a kind of a redo of the classic 1980s G.I. Joe Cobra H.I.S.S tank and driver. Thanks so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this. If you did, leave us a like. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those below. And as always, take care. Bye for now.